I have not done this in such a long time. I think I'm going to start to see some of you here shortly. I don't think I have used StreamYard for probably close to a year. So hopefully it's going to start to be visible to some of you. It's been a very long time since I've been on live. So if you start to come in, just say hi, hello, type something into the comments. Oh, Kim. Oh, good. There's people here. Hi, Joelle. Come on in. It's really been such a long time since I have used this platform. I know, Helen. Thank you very much. Yes, it's been a while. Hi, Noelle. Janet done it. Hi, how are you? So good to see you here. Addie, nice to see you too, Maureen. Oh my God, I feel like I have been so disconnected for so long, and I would apologize for that, but I was doing this. I was doing this. It's finally done. A Turn of Attention. There's the book. Look how thick it is. This is why I have been tortured, you guys. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie, I haven't seen your face for a long time. Hi, Carolyn. Maureen. Yeah, yay. Amazing. I know, you guys, it's like, honest to God, it is 400, not to scare you all, but it's 459 pages. It ends with these beautiful photos of some people that are really important. But look at that cover. Now, this is the editor's copy, so that band won't be on it. But this is it. This is the first live that I am coming to you all to say that the date that you could get this book is October the 30th. October the 30th. You can go on to Amazon and you can get the book, and it's just in book form now. So it's not what do you call it, ebook or audio. At some point, it'll probably be one or both of those. But I just figured all this out myself, getting it up onto Amazon, and so the bigger the better. Yeah, it covers a lot of things, you guys. And what is so exciting is it's so many of your stories. Like, it is so. Whereas there's Shania Tennant, like, her father is in here. He has done some amazing things, and so he's part of this book. So many special people are a part of this book, and it not only was it like my great honor to experience all of these loved ones and these souls in the first place, but it's also been such a blessing to have their family members agree to let me write the stories, to tell the stories that are so important, because really it's just taking the very special, very private moments that we had together in those readings and experiences and offering them up to people that weren't part of it so that they can, yeah, just come to believe and come to see that we're so much more to each other than just this flesh and bone, right? This flesh and bone experience, of course, this meeting on earth experience is really critical and really important and really sacred. But we're eternal to each other. And so that's really great. Yes. Hi, Maggie. Yes, my joy, pride, and excitement does ooze out of me. Are you kidding? This was honestly, there's many times where I thought, can I even do this? Like, I had to read and reread it so many times that I was quite frankly sick of it by the time I got to the end. But the day that I got it in my hands, my husband and our friend was sitting in the living room the day this copy was mailed to me, and I just like embarrassingly sobbed my eyes out because it was like watching something I'd worked on for so long come to life. So I feel really very blessed to have it with me now. That kind of sharing And of course, I have all the nerves about it. You think a million things, or at least I do. Do you know what I mean? What if people don't like it? What if people don't, all of those self-judgment things start to happen. But I am really happy that it's here. So October 30th, that's going to be the day. And it's also a really important day because my girlfriend lost her daughter that day. Danielle passed away on the 30th of October 3 years ago. And I love Danielle and I love her mom. And Danielle's special experience is the last story told in this book. And so the timing of everything just lined up so beautifully. So I just knew that uh, Hugmar and Danielle setting the date close to the days of their passing was going to be really important. Shelley, that was your father's birthday. That's beautiful. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then on the 31st, so this timing works out amazing too. I think Spirit's just blessing me with the whole thing. Is that on the 31st, I'll be on 6 radio stations in Ontario. I think this is the second or maybe the third year that they've invited me to do their Halloween Day morning show, but now they're syndicated to 6 stations. So that's going to be a lot of fun again. And I'll be able to just go, hey, there's a book to buy now, which is exciting. Um, so I wanted to explain a couple of things that aren't explained in the book, but my girlfriend Yvette, she painted this cover. Now, at the time, she didn't know that it was going to be the cover of the book, and it's gigantic. Like I think the painting is this wide at least, and then twice as tall. And her father had passed away just shortly before she painted this painting, and so I knew that he had painted it for me through her. I just knew it when I saw it. These 2 birds, especially, never mind all of this wonderful light flooding forward over this writing process and this frustration of crumpled papers. But 2 birds are on my arm. And so it all just makes so much sense to me now that these 2 people, one of these birds is for Danielle and the other is for Hugmar, 2 beautiful people that we lost over the course of the last few years, too young. Both of them were just 30. So everything just felt so synchronistic about it, and I love that. And thank you all for being here. I know it's a long time since I've been live, so we were going to do a little bit of card pulls and stuff too, but I just wanted to make it the official. The book is going to be ready on the 30th, and I'm really, really looking forward to, most of all, the discussion about the book, because there is really so much in it, and right even to the point of I do share more about myself in the beginning, but we go right into murder, overdose and suicide, the aspects of grief that many of us suffer with, and really everything from angels and guides and other divine beings. So there's a lot in there, and I'm really, really looking forward to the conversations we get to have about it. But I'm also planning, fingers crossed, that I'm going to be able to rent the Mary Winspear in January, February, like around that period of time. I'm just waiting for dates to come back from them, so that once people have had a chance to read the book, that then we'll have the stage, and we'll have that wonderful theater to all sit together and do a meditation and invite angels forward and invite loved ones forward, and have a wonderful discussion about topics in the book, things that maybe bothered you, or things that you loved about it, or things that awakened you. I can imagine that there will just be a million things that people want to talk about or inquire about more. So I thought we would just have a really nice healing night over this book, A Turn of Attention, that I would, for everybody in the theater, guide them to ways that they can learn to turn their attention towards spirit. So we'll do some exercises like that. Um, Thursday nights, usually for I think probably at least the last 5 years anyway, I've done something called the Divine Self. And so there's a lot of people that take the divine self workshops with me. I guess you could call them that, classes, workshops. And it's where we really just invite spirit. Spirit gives us a new theme every night. I never know what's going to happen until the day that the night comes up. Usually I do them in a series of 3. But what's beautiful about these nights, and some people probably here have been to, Lori has, um, been to the Divine Self groups. And what I love about them is it's an opportunity for us to explore a lot of things like, just exploring our own human journey, having spirit attune us to the meaning and purpose of words in our life, having loved ones come forward and work through each other to give beautiful either messages or gifts of love. There's all kinds of ways that we learn and develop in these divine self groups. So I thought how wonderful to take some of that into a big conversation about the book, A Turn of Attention. So I'm hoping that a lot of you will purchase it, and then I can make tickets really cheap. Cheap enough to kind of cover the cost of renting the Mary Winspear. And we could all just come together in a huge group. I think there's 300 seats. I think Diana and I had maybe 250 people in there last time, but there's 300 seats. So let's have 300 people coming together to discuss and talk about. Oh, thanks, Lori. That's so great. Yeah, it is a wonderful group, isn't it? I absolutely love doing it. And what I love about the Divine Self too is that um it's not just me doing it for the people in the group. It's like I'm a part of it as well. So as the day comes up, I'm saying to spirit, okay, we have another divine self night. What is it that we're going to look at? And for instance, spirit will guide me to a particular deck and say, okay, talk about self-discipline. And so then we have a whole thing on self-discipline, but we have exercises that we do and we have discussions, and people are really wonderfully vulnerable and intimate with each other and supportive. And so I feel like they're huge blessings to me too. So okay, so lots of you are here. A giant, oh my God, Helen, that's so true. A giant book club spirit party. Yeah, that would be so good. There's like so many things in here, you guys. It really could be a book club because we talk about in here, I talk about everything from past the part of me, the senses, the timing of spirit, concrete proof, money and meaning, signs and symbols, complicated and traumatic deaths, premonitions and fate, absolution and amends, the love and power of angels, spirit guides, paranormal stuff, the energy of animals, right? April, it's true. The vibe in that room during that event will be amazing. I think it really will be amazing. I think we should have sandwiches, finger sandwiches and fruit. We'll see if it comes to that. I'm going to do my best. So the Mary Winspear, hopefully it'll probably be during the week because they said they're full till 2016 for like Friday and Saturday night things. But I think I can get like a Wednesday or a Tuesday or something like that. So I think that will be great. And then I think probably too, we should do some online stuff. Do you know what I mean? And Sue, I made a nice little mention of Michael in the back and you. So I love that too. I love that you're here. I mean, the acknowledgments, I think I had to make like, I don't know how many pages long, a few pages long, because there's so many people that I'm grateful to have had exchanges with. And of course, the wonderful Austri. So Austri Wright, she is this woman here. You can see her. There she is there, Austri Wright. And she's been in some classes and things like that too. But she was just such a phenomenal guide helping me through this book and just asking, the right questions. And I mean, of course, her knowledge of writing was just over the top. So she just really nursed me through so much of this. And so many people contributed that I'm really grateful. Do any of you right now have a question that you want to ask, um, Jennifer, I'm going to click on you, Jennifer. Um, because there's something about rocks or stones. So if you're still watching, Jennifer, just say yes. To me down below, because there's something about, like, I have a hand in my stone, or a rock in my hand, or a stone in my hand, and it feels like I want to hold it against my chest. So are you still watching, Jennifer? Are you here in the group? You can just say yes. I'm here, yes. Do you know why, Jennifer, I have, like, this stone in my hand, and it's like I'm holding it to my chest? It almost feels like a beach rock. Like, I don't know if you live near a beach, or there's something important about this stone and this, um, just this strong love connection that I have to spirit with you and a stone, a rock, a stone. I have it in my hand, and it feels like I'm just want to express love to you and support to you, and say, like, I hear you, or I know where you're at. Oh, you live near a beach. Okay, great. Um Hi, Lori. Yeah, the book will be October 30th, on Amazon. You'll be able to get it. Thank you for that. You live near a beach. So do you have a stone at home, or do you have a stone connected to a loved one, Jennifer, that you've, like, brought into the house, or a rock that you have, or that you've picked up recently? I'm like, it feels like there's a lot of love flowing forward to you. But this stone in my hand feels like it's really, like, I can feel it in the palm of my hand. It feels really important. It's just that I feel like I wanna let you know that you're not alone. And it's like, I hear you, I feel you. I don't know what I wanna put my chapstick on now. I don't know if you just got new chapstick, or there's something about the chap lips. Do you understand any of this, Jennifer? Just let me know if you do. What do you wanna say, Spirit, to her? I have a rock my Michael brought home from where we wanted to live in. I'm not sure what FLA is. Um, oh, you bought the chapstick, or the chap, like, something about, all of a sudden, like, my lips were fine, but now all of a sudden it's like I wanna put chapstick on, or chapstick on my lips. Oh, Florida. Helen's saying Florida? Oh, you're in the States, Jennifer. Okay, Florida. Just know there's a lot of love coming forward, for you. I don't It's embarrassing, but I was like, I don't know, you like, it's your lips. There's something about the lips feeling better, or the lips looking beautiful, or something like that. It just feels like there's a lot of love here. So thank you for answering, Jennifer. Addie, I hope you're still here. Um, Addie, I'm supposed to talk to you about siblings, and how siblings relate to each other, and how healing with siblings comes in its own time. Healing with siblings comes in its own time. So it's kind of like, if there was kind of discomfort or dispute between siblings, and everybody pay attention to the messages that come from spirit, because some people. Oh, sorry, Jennifer said, "Yes, I bought chapstick. Thank you. I was at a family wedding today and missing him a lot." Oh, that's why, I don't know, your lips look so beautiful, so I don't know. You must have just looked beautiful today, Jennifer, but just know that he's close, and just, like, all this love was just being expressed. Um so, um, this idea of siblings, of the connection, of siblings needing to heal in their own time, Addie. So I don't know if, like, you're one of the siblings, or there's something about siblings, starting to get along, or healing a relationship. There's a feeling of, that it is always good to just respect time, that everybody has their own time when it comes to healing. But this is related to siblings, Addie. So um I just feel is a sense of peace around the timing of siblings healing or finding healing with each other. So if you relate to that, that's great. But that message might extend to other people as well. Um, oh, so Donna, any message from my friend Donna, whose birthday was October 31st? She died last year. Donna, somebody I think connected to Donna um was either in the military. There's a gentleman that's saluting me. So I don't know if you can answer the question that somebody in Donna's family um was in the military, but all of a sudden there's a gentleman saluting me when I'm asking about Donna, but it feels like a great comfort in my chest related to this gentleman. And also too, there's like two brothers connected, or two brothers that are connected where the military reflection is. Do you understand that at all? Um October is a pretty special date. Mm. Do you understand the two brothers, Donna, connected to? Oh, you're saying her nephew, maybe? Her nephew, what, in the military? Um, do you know if Donna had cancer? If she didn't have cancer, then I don't have her. I have there's a woman that's got cancer, but it feels like um, it's like in two places in my body. I feel like a primary and then a spreading, and there's some pain around my stomach. Do you understand that, Donna? No, she did not have cancer. Okay. I think you're saying no, she did not have cancer. But there's a woman right now that's bringing me and there's a Lillian. There's a Lynn or a Lillian name, and I can feel cancer that's in my lower down. It's almost like it's higher up and then spreads downward. So, but I feel like my stomach is affected, and there's Lynn or Lillian connected to this, or the L with the yin sound connected to this as well. And boy, somebody keeps talking about two boys to me, two brothers, two boys. Does this make sense to anybody? Until somebody answers me. Oh, my Aunt Lil, okay, died of cancer, and my mom died of cancer. Oh, Pat had cervical cancer and had two boys. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of people coming through. So we have, you understand the cervical cancer and the two boys, because this woman keeps saying to me, there's two boys, there's two boys, there's two boys. But also too, Lori has Aunt Lil died of cancer, and my mom died of cancer last year. Lil, do you know if, Lori, do you know if Lil had it affect her liver, or her liver shut down, or your mom had the liver get shut down? Can you answer that for me? Because there's a few. Hi, you guys. Oh, Susie, you sat with my son and his wife last night, and his brother came through and had such a love-filled reading. Oh, that's so great. Susie, can you answer this? If I'm right, that's the husband husband and wife. If I'm right, that's the brother that came through. Did they say anything about my husband seeing his brother in the house before our reading? Can you answer that? Yeah, Aunt Lil did. Okay, so Lori, that's great. So just understand, I think that that's who it is. The Lil, if it was like Lil or Lynn or something like that, and there was a feeling of, yeah, Susie. Okay, I'll tell everybody that story in a second, Susie. So Lori, just understand then that Lil is the one that's bringing me those symptoms, but I feel like it was the liver feels kind of almost secondary to me. So there's the liver, but then there's something else that also feels like it's lower. So it could be all of them together. And of course, spirit crowds around really tight, especially as I'm just looking at people here. So I want to tell you guys for a second what happened with Susie's. I won't tell exactly what happened because I want to keep people's things private. But Susie was just saying that her son and his wife had a session with me. So, oh, so then Susie, would it be your son that came through? If it was your son, because his brother passed away, is his brother then your son? Um, because I go into the house um the night before that session, and uh and not always this happens, but sometimes it does. My husband does see spirits, so he doesn't want to talk to them though. So mostly he kind of stays away from them. But anyway, so Susie's oh, good Susie. Um, so Susie's son evidently uh walked down my hall. So my husband was sitting in the living room. This young man walked down the hall, past the living room, into the kitchen, and was rummaging in the dishes. And so Norman says, "Hey, Caleb," something to Caleb, no answer. And so Norm can still have this rummaging in the dishes. So he's like, I just watched him walk in there. So he gets up and there's nobody in the kitchen. So he texts my son and he goes, "Where are you?" And Caleb goes, "I'm at the gym." And Norm's like, "Oh my God." So he saw this kid walk through the house and rummage in the dishes. So he tells me this at night. And so I said to the spirit, well, I couldn't see the spirit, but I said, okay, clearly my husband has seen you. So if you're coming for clients that I have tomorrow, then you're just going to have to be really good with me and show me yourself. And so when I woke up the next day, I talked to the spirit again, and immediately I had a response from this young man in spirit. And I won't say what he showed me, but he showed me the thing related to his passing. And so I go into my session not knowing who the people in my session are. And I'm describing to them this young man that passed and what he was showing me. And the guy's like, yeah, that's my brother. And then I said, well, there's something more to this because the young man, he could have done anything. But what he did is he went to the dishes in my kitchen and it was like he was doing the dishes. So there must be something important about doing the dishes. And they looked at each other and they kind of smiled. And they said, "Well, we have dishes in our sink right now." And I said, "Okay, but there's got to be something unique about this." And they said, "Well, we've eaten out last night." I said, "Do you have a few days of dishes left in your sink?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do," kind of looking a little bit embarrassed. And so their brother was just saying, like, "I know you've got a sink full of dishes, do them." Do you know what I mean? By giving this extra impression that he gave to my husband the night before. So it's not often that spirit makes themselves very physical as they're waiting to see me the following day or they're waiting to see me in a session. But Susie, your son did a really beautiful job with that. And my Norm feels very blessed that he got to see him, let me say that. He's seen a few spirits, over the course of a few years, so, again, he doesn't wanna talk to them, but he does let me know when he sees them, so I think that that's really special. There was something else that triggered my mind about that with Norman. Um, yeah, there was something else, with Norm about seeing spirit. Yeah, anyway, he doesn't like it, but he does appreciate it when it's very accurate to what's happening, you know? It is really cool, Shelley, for sure. Thank you, Pam, for missing the lives. I miss them too. I just was like, between work and the kids and everything, and then trying to get the book done, it was just really a lot, you know? Um, Darn it, there was something really important I wanted to say about the physical, spirits being physical. I don't know. I just think it's such an intense expression of love when they really bring themselves so close that we can physically see them. It's not an easy thing. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, I find that it's really special. Okay, so Spirit just reminded me something that I want to talk about too. And that's grief because we're in the holiday weekend. Do you know what I mean? Where everybody kind of comes together around Thanksgiving. But then after Thanksgiving's over, of course, we move into October. And put a heart on the screen if you lost somebody in October, because October seems to be a month that a lot of people tend to pass. I don't know why. It's something that I've noticed, but also kind of October, November sort of thing. And so as we move into Thanksgiving, not only are we reminiscing about them, yeah, there's several Octobers already. Yeah, October, November, that kind of thing. And so it can be as we go through the holidays, a time where people really struggle. And I have noticed that I've seen a lot of people lately that have had family just pass in just the last year. And so the first year and 2 and 3, sometimes 4 and more, can be really raw for people when it comes up to the holiday time because we're missing things like rituals, and we're missing things like, what people used to like about Thanksgiving or Halloween. Like, I have a girlfriend who passed away, and Halloween was her absolute favorite time of year. So even more than Easter, any of those other times, she loved Halloween. So when Halloween comes, of course, that's a time that really stands out in missing her. Yeah, look at how many people. Yeah, Andrea, your son, right? Yeah, it's and you say miss them more than ever. That's the misnomer about grief, is people think that, after a year goes by or 2 years goes by, that the missing starts to ease off. But for a lot of people it doesn't, because in the beginning, in the first year, you're not even really missing. You're going through the trauma of loss. Like, you are literally going through the shock, whether the death was expected or it was sudden. You're going through the adjustment. There's not time to miss the person. You're dealing with the death, you're dealing with services, you're dealing with all of the family and friends and connections, and people gather around, right? During that time, there's a lot of people that gather around, and then everybody starts to go back to their lives, and things start to become a little bit more hollow, a little bit more quiet. And so as time moves on, oftentimes the second year or the third year is where people really find the missing, that they're aching for their loved one, because now time has gone by and the missing is really starting to occur. So it is perfectly normal for people to be grieving even heavier in a second and third year than in that first year. So please remember not only to be good to yourself as time. Tracy, it was hard to grasp to wake up this morning. Yeah, to face it. It's been a year since my mom passed. That's the other thing too, Tracy, right? Like, we want to stop time, right? I remember when my girlfriend died, a girlfriend and I drove up to the top of Mount Tommy, and we sat there, and I just desperately wanted time to stop. I was like, can everybody just stop what they're freaking doing for a moment? Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted everything to, like, everything just to slow down and stop, because this person had now gone and everything was so devastating. She left 2 little kids behind, and you know, um it is hard to go, how has it been a year? How has it been 3 years since Danielle died, When Hugmar died, I found out as I was driving home, and I had to tell everyone that he had passed away, and he was a young man in our lives who I was his Canadian mom, and he was just the greatest guy. And I was absolutely devastated. I literally rolled out of the car, face down onto the concrete, and was guttural sobbing. And I had to go into the house and tell everybody who loved him that he had passed away. That was 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Like, it feels like forever and no time all at once, And it chokes me up to this day. Every time I think about him, I miss him. And it was a gut-wrenching death for us, just as Danielle has been too, and for many of you, losing a child, like Andrea said, yeah, the shock and trauma, the acceptance that he has truly gone is heartbreaking. And therein lies the thing. I was just before this, I was doing a podcast with these women who invited me to be part of their podcast. And when that comes out, I'll share it with you all. Um, but we were talking too about the mediumship and grief, right? So those of us that have lost people, um, sorry, Brandy said, I completely understand that. How is everyone acting normal when my dad died or my grandma or my ex? Yeah, I mean, it's so torturous because our life is so narrowed at that moment. But in this podcast, we were talking about grief a little bit and mediumship. And I was saying, like, we are all grieving. We all grieve multiple kinds of losses in our lives because death feels so final. Do you know what I mean? We can't look in their eyes anymore. Like missing my father-in-law at the dinner table, making him the chicken and the mashed potatoes, the sound of his voice, his beautiful blue eyes. Um, I miss that in my bones, and and the death of that, the death of the physical part of missing the loved one, of wanting to hear their voice, put your hands on them, is agonizing for many of us for many different reasons, whether it's a partner, a child, a good friend. It's pretty hard physically, emotionally, mentally to bear. When we have mediumship occur, in that a loved one comes forward and we know that they're there, when there's no doubt that they're there, it doesn't stop the grieving. The grief is still there. I still want my father-in-law. I still want to hear Ugmar's voice. I still want Shelley to have Danielle. I still want all of that to still be there. But to know that it's not over forever. There was a man that came through, a grandfather once, that just blew my mind. Hugmar was from Aruba, but several years after his death, I was in a session and this grandfather came forward and he listed off, I don't know how he did this, but he listed off to me his 6 children and their names in the order of their birth. Like, honest to God, my jaw was open. Like, I don't know how he did it. Like, sometimes spirits are really strong and they just completely take over and share things that just blow my mind. So anyway, he did that. We had no doubt that he was there with us. And then getting towards the end of the session, he said, "Deborah, tell her we're just in Aruba." And I was like, "What do you mean you're just in Aruba?" And he was making reference to my friend, and he said, "We're just in Aruba. It's like we've got the ticket to Aruba and you can't visit us yet. You don't have your ticket yet. You can't physically hug us or see us, but you can talk to us on the phone." And I was like, "Oh my God." And all of a sudden this kind of sting sort of came out of this idea that, all our loved ones, they just got the ticket to Aruba. And you know what it's like if somebody goes away for a long holiday. You miss them. You want to see them. You want to put your hands on them, but you can't. You don't live in the same place anymore. But all of these nuances of, feeling the brush of the cheek, you could swear that they just walked from the living room to the kitchen, that you see the feather or the dime or the frog. I think I posted tonight a picture of a frog with this. Trish, my mom said everyone was waiting for her to go to Hawaii. Yeah, right? Like like we will have our ticket one day. When it's our natural time, our ticket will come and we'll go there and we will meet each other. They will be there. They will reach out their hands for us. We will see their face. They will bring their energy close. My mom always says, like, are they, well, not always says, but she has said to me, like, are they going to be there for me? I'm like, yeah, they're going to be there for you. Like Bill and Sylvia and Bob, they're all going to be there for you. You're going to see them again. You're going to see them in the state of their energy. You will recognize them and you will feel them, and they will make your leaving this world for that world comfortable when it's naturally time for you. Um, sorry, I got stuck. I'm just going to highlight this question for a second while I finish this thought. So yes, you're going to fit. And in the meantime, until you get your ticket to Aruba or to Hawaii, um, then you develop a different kind of relationship where you talk to them in your mind and you let the idea of them responding to you be open. So you might talk to them in your mind, and then that afternoon you get into your car and you turn on your radio and say, I think somebody was talking earlier here about Michael. I was bringing up the stone with her. Um, Jen, I think maybe, or Jennifer. Sorry, it's gone from my mind. My mind's very scattered right now. But we were talking about the stone. So you get into the car and their favorite song is on the radio, right? There's Susan. We always tease that Sharon and Nana are up there playing a mean game of canasta, and Nana is cheating, of course. So, Susan, I don't know if you were in here when I was talking about Sharon. I was saying, we lost a friend. Susan is Sharon's sister. We lost a friend who loved Halloween, like Halloween was her thing. And yeah, so, oh, Jennifer, that's what I did when you went live. What did you do, Jennifer, when I went live? What did you do? I told him to go tell Deborah something for me, and he did. I get signs all the time. That's so great. And he did right away with this stone thing. That's so great, Jennifer. That's wonderful. And the chapstick. So good. So see, that was a perfect example of that. So you can talk to your loved ones and just, you might not feel them because sometimes some people just can't. It doesn't mean that they're not there. It doesn't mean that they're not trying. I have a whole book full of example after example. And even one of the chapters says concrete proof. And I'm telling you that the story in there is proof that spirit is communicating. I don't care what anybody says. After you read that, you won't be able to argue anything. But the thing is that the relationship continues. So how does it continue? How can you keep the relationship alive? Not in a Psychologically, we do have to let go. So I'm not saying that you should treat it like you're not experiencing loss. You are experiencing loss. We're all experiencing loss. We have to go through the grieving. We have to move on with the physical life that we're living because we're still meant to be here. There's purpose in your still being here. When there's not, and when your soul is finished, you will go. But that timing is already important timing that is sent, that is set. So trust yourself, trust your own soul, trust the dynamics of the whole universe, trust God, trust the divine, that your time will come. And when your time comes, they will be there for you. In the meantime, still involve them in things, create new traditions, create new things that you do. Um, Genevieve, after the horrible loss of a suicide, a loved one's feathers were always falling around me. Yeah. Like suicide is really, really, they're such tough passings, right? Getting our head around suicide is really hard. And I talk about suicide in the book because it's a really important topic. And too many times in metaphysics, you hear things like if somebody, dies by suicide, or dies by murder, or dies by some trauma, that they're not okay, that they're stuck, or that they're somehow still in trauma in spirit. And it's just not true. I lay my own life on it. It is just not true. We have far too much loving attendance all around us in spirit for anyone who passes to be alone in their passing or to be struggling in their passing. So please just remember that, that your loved ones that pass in that way are tended to in a very loving way. Now, having said that, suicide is not the thing we are supposed to be doing. And so we have to work through things here. And by the way, most people have felt suicidal at some point. I mean, put a heart on the thing if you have ever had a period of time in life where you felt like you didn't want to be here anymore. I put my hand up multiple times. That is very common to the human condition. Emotions overwhelm us, right? So But just because we feel a certain way doesn't mean that we follow through on those feelings. And so it's okay for us to express that we don't feel like being here anymore, or we feel like suicidal, or we're scared that we're going to take our own life. All of that is stuff that should be shared. And the more we're able to share it, the more solutions that we'll have in discussing, well, how can we navigate those feelings? What can we do? There's all kinds of things that can pull us back from the brink of suicide. The only suicides that I ever see where people um, say that they don't regret what they did is the person really did not have their cognitive faculties anymore. And by the way, MAID is not suicide. I'm just making that clear right now. We are not talking about assisted dying in death. We're just talking about, people that in under distress take their own life, okay? Without help, without that kind of support. So, Brandy, my cousin pretty much has days left, 49 with cancer. I'm so scared for him. Will he be okay? We'll be alone. Nobody is ever alone. It's just not a thing, Brandy. It just is not a thing. We are not alone. And there's a gentleman that's there for him that has kind of a big belly, actually, Brandy. His belly suddenly stuck out. So I don't know if that's his father or his grandfather, but it's like all of a sudden this man just kind of pulled my shoulders back, and then he kind of has a bit of a bigger belly. And also too, there's some connection to like back east. Like I'm in Victoria, BC. So back east, like Ontario or Manitoba or something like that. Manitoba just made my hair stand on end. Um, so Brandy, if you understand, um, there'll be a gentleman there for him. There's some connection to more back east, Canada. So yeah, there's all so Trish says, um, so many people waiting for them on the other side. There are. I mean, anybody who's been a hospice nurse or people who have watched another person pass away. Um, yeah, Susan, Randy, he will not only have the people gone before, but he also will know your love is still there too. Susan, such a good point, because that's the other thing that people really fear about the dying process is that their loved ones are going to be missing things. In 16 years now of session after session, Spirit has demonstrated and proven that they are witnessing one of the greatest things. And the reason I put that frog up, one of the stories in here is about a mom who died and left young children behind. And she used this frog as a way to say afterwards that she could see where her children were. Anyway, the story is really remarkable, but yes, one of the beautiful things that you'll find in spirit is that you can see your loved ones. You can watch what they're experiencing. You can bring your love close to them still. You can wrap your arms around them in a hug. I once watched this young girl had passed away from suicide, and her grandmother's spirit had wrapped herself around her whole body as she was dying so that she could be part of the experience with her. So, Jennifer, I was honored to be with both my mom and my sister when they passed. Yeah. And when you are witness to someone passing, oftentimes hospice nurses or people who witness that will see that the loved one that's dying is actually talking about the people that are coming for them, or they're looking into an empty spot in the room, or they're making reference to loved ones that are already passed. So yeah, they will often see the loved ones coming for them, oftentimes tending to them in the week or so prior to their passing. So it's all okay. Our friend Ivan passed so suddenly. It was a shock. Why did it happen? Yeah, it feels so random and wrong with how much he loved his life. I know it's so hard to make sense of things too, Catherine. You're not alone in that. Um, Bonnie, Deborah, those roses on the wolf portrait behind you, yeah, they are. So the woman, the woman that painted this cover, my girlfriend Yvette, she made this it's an old, it's like a serving tray, but she turned it into a clock, and she painted the bird and the wolf, and this is actually porcelain roses that are on it. Isn't it stunning? She's so creative. I absolutely love it. So, Nalia, is it possible that after many losses, you stop feeling any kind of loss grief? Of course, it's possible, especially if that's what you're feeling, then of course it's possible. And I think that, Maggie here, she's a therapist. She can correct me if I'm wrong. So sometimes that can just be a numbing because you've been through so much. But sometimes it can be like anything else that over time you've learned to navigate grief, and you don't feel the same way about loss and grief as you did before. So the same is true of me. So sometimes I've questioned myself, Deborah, are you just like, have you numbed yourself out over loss and death? Because sometimes I'll talk to somebody about something and they will fall apart. And I'll be like, oh, geez, should I be falling apart? But sometimes we've learned and we've grown and we're navigating in ways that we weren't familiar with before. So sometimes it can be an aspect of familiarity, becoming more familiar with the process. Um, Maggie said, yes, over time we learn to navigate grief. Absolutely. And as you know, if you've been through multiple deaths, every death strikes us different. Not as it only the person that died, but the way they died, when they died. We are at all different stages of life when we experience different deaths. So, thank you. That's how I'm feeling, like death isn't sad like it used to be. Yeah, I don't feel it's sad like it used to be either. So, Nalia, it's probably just that you're no, Nalia, I don't think you're callous at all. Let me put it this way. You wouldn't ask the question if you were callous. It's your sensitivity that's allowing you to ask the question. So no, you wouldn't ask the question if you were callous. It's not that you don't care. It's that you're more familiar, and each loss is going to strike us differently. Am I right, Maggie? Like maybe I'm at a period of time in my life personally where I'm doing better, and where I'm doing okay, and a death occurs there, and my ability to cope with or manage that passing is better than if maybe I'm at a low point in life, or maybe the circumstances of my life are different and I experience a death there. I like that. Not callous, Maggie says, just wiser and more experienced with loss, for sure. Like I say, a callous person doesn't ask a question like that, right? Yeah. Bonnie says, "Wolves." Thank you for asking that, Nelly. And again, like you came forward with a very vulnerable question, and I think that that's one of the things that I value the most. And what I love about the divine self groups is that people get vulnerable. Oftentimes, people are really scared to talk about the things they think are wrong with them. But if you talk about the things that you think are wrong with you, you find out that half of the room feels exactly the same way you do. So there's an old saying that says we are as sick as the secrets we keep, right? And I think that that's incredibly true, that we are as sick as the secrets we keep. So, um, more capacity to hold grief and not be overwhelmed with it. Absolutely, Maggie. That's totally true. After four major losses this year, I feel nothing, not really happy or sad. I feel anger once in a while, but mostly numb. That's what April says. And April, yeah, then there's that aspect that we're over trauma run, and so if we feel like we're just numbed out, or we're no longer responsive to things, then therapy is a really good idea. Counseling is a really good idea. um People are asking such good questions. I don't want to miss them, but um there's all kinds of tools. Like when we experience, I'm going to give you an example of something. So when we experience loss, we not only have like an emotional, a mental adjustment to that loss, but we also have a physical one. And so, just like if we're witness to a trauma, or if we get in a fight with someone, or we experience the death of someone, our body does this. Like, so there's all this stuff that occurs in the body energetically. So sometimes cognitive processing, working through things with a therapist is really good. Working through emotions is really good. But sometimes when they're in the midst of doing that, we also need to realize that we have to deal with the body too. So we need to access things like somatic therapy or energetic cleansing and healing, or we need to also take our body to the water and or maybe we need to have sacred time in the shower every day just to allow the light of that shower to wash over us and relax and release the energy of our body. So a lot of times I think we miss the energetic work of the body that we need to do in order to have the mental and emotional processing go better, right? um, and there's lots of different modalities around that kind of healing. There's Reiki you can do for yourself. There's Reiki that you can do for, have others do for you. But there's a lot of exercises that you can do on your own. Dr. Russell Kennedy wrote the book Anxiety RX, and in there he talks about energy and working, with your energy in the body, that state of alarm in the body, which most of us get stuck with when the traumatic thing happens. So there's lots of different people that have lots of different ways to help you navigate grief and loss. So keep attempting to use as many of them as you can to see what works for you, because what works for one person doesn't work for another. Bonnie says wolves and roses have special meaning to me, so I see that as a sign. I love that. And probably right at this moment you see it as a sign. Maybe something is significant about now. Michelle, I'm navigating grief for the first time, and it's been a roller coaster. The hardest part is watching my son go through this too, and it's so much harder. Yeah, it was his grandma we lost so sudden, far too soon. As a mom, this has been so hard. I get nervous about that too, Michelle. When either one of my parents goes, I don't know how I'm going to help the children navigate. They're all so close to their grandparents. But trust yourself, because as human beings, we have done this for eons. And so our parents have had to do it, and their parents have had to do it. And so just trust that you have your ancestry behind you to help navigate as best you can. Leave as much room for his age appropriate dialogue as possible. And just trust him too. Trust that he's come into this life. He knew what he was going to have to navigate through this life. So trust his spirit as you're tending to his beautiful little heart and soul, his own way of processing. Use lots of things like drawing and coloring and play therapy and all that kind of stuff, Use those things that let children express in ways that get the energy out. A lot of people kind of stay away from writing, or they have a hard time with journaling, but there's something really powerful about writing or coloring or journaling. And I don't think it's just in the information that's coming out. I think it's because there's actual energetic movement, that stuff is moving from the place of the inside to the place of the outside, and words aren't enough. So most of you here probably have experiences with expressing through words and then expressing through something like writing or art therapy or drawing or painting or gardening, even something like that, right? There's lots of other ways for us to get that energy out in expression. So accessing that too is important. Thank you, Michelle, for bringing that. And you've got all of our love going with you to navigate it. Rachel. Hi, Deborah. Sometimes the more deaths of people I know, it makes me feel lonely. The loss is overwhelming rather than preparing me for the next death. Counseling and reading are very useful. Yeah, loneliness is another thing that many people are suffering for a lot of different reasons, right? Oh, Michelle says, thank you. I've noticed that he has started drawing again. I will continue to encourage it. That's so great. For some reason, Rachel, I'm supposed to go to the cards here. That's wild. Okay, Rachel, I need to show you this card. It says enlightenment. And it's funny because what I was going to say to you is that in times where we're feeling lonely, these are really good opportunities to start to develop a spiritual practice, to start to learn to get quiet and to allow the feeling of the presence of divine energy, of your own higher self. Because u ultimately, I'm gonna say the truth for me is that we're in this physical container. In this physical container, with the way that the brain works and the way that our personality that's developed here works, keeps us anchored to this life and this life only. And yet in the air we breathe and all around us is the love of spirit, is this palpable, alive, profoundly compassionate, connected energy that is a part of the greater whole, that involves your loved ones, that involves layers and levels of angels and beings that are supporting your journey. And so we have the ability, if we choose, to learn to get quiet and open ourselves up to the presence of that love that's available to us all the time. And so, um, there are many different ways around the world that people do that. And so find the teachers, or find the books, or find um, the mechanisms or modalities that feel right for you, to start to access your connection to the greater whole, to start to develop relationship to spirit, and not just loved ones, but that greater aspect of spirit. And I think that you'll find a deeper connection that starts to come to you, where this sense of loneliness will not be as frequent. I think that no matter what, living a human life, we're all going to experience at different times a feeling of isolation and aloneness, for external reasons or for internal reasons. So, again, just expand yourself to accessing as many different ways of seeing the world, or experiencing the world and the vibration of energy around you, as you can. Yeah, that's what I think. There's I found your group sessions very helpful. Yeah, so recreate them, Rachel. Like, recreate some of the things that we did in those groups for yourself, and hopefully you find some more connection. Alone time is also okay. So sometimes we're experiencing loneliness, because we also need to get comfortable with what it is to be alone, or to be in solitude with ourselves. And for many of us, that's a really uncomfortable place to be. A lot of us struggle with, we want to distract ourselves from that inner world, or that inner voice. And that's okay too. But it's really good to navigate finding a place where we can sit in the comfort of aloneness and not feel alone. So maybe there's an exercise in that too, potentially. Catherine says, just started somatic. Hi, Catherine. Oh, I'm like, oh, it's Catherine Carpenter. Just started somatic. Sorry, it's very hard for me to see the tiny little dots of people's head. Just started somatic therapy to help with this. Amazing what can be done to help with stuck energy from grief. Absolutely. There's so many incredible options. So many incredible options. Um, I'm gonna put it, Maria. I experienced a worse grief like I had never felt before, but it wasn't the death of a fellow human. It was my dog. Absolutely. I had a very deep connection to her. When she left me, I wasn't prepared for deep physical pain and emotional desolation. I couldn't breathe. The trauma continued for days and days, until out of the blue, she let me know she had crossed safely to the other side. It was a peaceful, beautiful feeling. Maria, thank you so much for sharing that. I want people to put hearts up if you have felt the profound loss of an animal. People underestimate that way too much, way too much. Um, because yes, they are animals, but each individual person has a very special or unique relationship to the animals that they love, and it can be equal to, or in some cases worse than, losing a family member that is a human family member. And that is nothing to feel ashamed of at all. It is nothing to feel where you have shared unconditional love. It is profoundly painful to lose those beings, in our lives. Doesn't matter if they're horses or dogs or cats or goldfish. I don't care what it is. Your heart, your relationship has been an important anchor in your life. Those are things that we count on, you know. It's been very painful for us to lose animals, but some people, the animal is their person. And so yeah, Kim, our pets are family. Our pets are family. So um yeah, that's a sensitive one for a lot of people. Like, look how many people are putting hearts up. Like Caroline says, when my dog Sam died, it was so sad. I was so surprised I've not been able to get another dog. Right? Like, people don't anticipate what that grief is like either. And, try to say at work that you can't come in because your dog died. Most often, people are going to give the eye roll or say that's not good enough, or your cat died. But those of us that have animals and have that bond know that it's a profound loss. So thank you, Maria, for sharing that with us. It's really very important. And I think Catherine just shared a link to a somatic practitioner, journey to growth.ca with Jenna. Catherine, what town is that in? Could you share what town that's in for us? Because Jenna might get more people. I always feel bad for saying this, but it was harder for me when I lost my dog than when I lost my husband. It's never made sense to me, but it really was. Darlene, Catherine says I think she's in Victoria. Darlene, yeah, that's okay. There's complications with partners. There's sometimes more acceptance around the loss of partners. Um, and I freaking love that you shared that. Like, put hearts up if you love that Darlene shared that she feels bad for saying this, but it was harder for her when she lost her dog than when she lost her husband. I'm sorry, makes sense to me. Absolutely makes sense to me. We have a far more complicated relationship to our partners and our loved ones. And I don't mean complicated in a bad way. I just mean that the dynamics of it are so different. An animal, a pet, has been our go-to, our security. Not only that, it's like a child. We've been responsible for tending to them. We've pulled them into ourselves. I mean, Darlene, look at how many people do not think that what you said is strange at all. Look how many people understand what you said. So, yeah, this is the bravery of saying, what might be difficult, but so many people relate to it. It doesn't mean that we love the pet more than we love the husband or the wife. It doesn't mean that. It's not about comparing love, but we have a relationship that is, mental, emotional, and physiological connected to that being. So don't try to sort it out too much, the whys of things. Just be lovingly accepting of that. That's the way that we're grieving. Yeah, Donna, pets give us the unconditional love and partners don't always. It's so true. It's absolutely true. Um, Crystal says, I had a reading with you, and the first thing to come through was my cat. He was in my life for longer than anyone else. Yeah, absolutely. I know, Pam says, I start to cry even thinking about my fur baby dying. And I never cry. I'm crying now. Pam, when I got Tom, and Tom's like 8 now. And when I got Tom, I think it was the first couple of weeks, I said, what did I do to myself? I already feel like I'm dying 1,000 deaths just thinking that I'm going to have to outlive this dog. And then I thought, well, maybe you won't. So just put that in the back of your head. So I kind of secretly thought, maybe I'll die before the dog. So, yeah, totally get it. So I thought, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And Jennifer says, during a reading with you, you told me Michael was showing you a hedgehog. Just then, my dog Boomer whined, and he was at my feet with his toy hedgehog. I had to put Boomer to sleep in January. Oh, I feel so guilty and really miss him. Yeah. Guilt having to put animals down is really, really tough. But I'm going to try not to cry saying that. Okay. Every animal understands their time has come They really, really do. They're not a bunch of pets on the other side going, "Why did you do that? That was the wrong timing." They don't. They understand things way beyond what we understand, you know? Love is love, doesn't matter from who. Best statement, Janice, across the board. Love is love, doesn't matter from who. I love that hedgehog thing. Thanks for sharing that, Jennifer. Tanya Ross, how can we connect with someone who's passed to the other side? Yeah, that's the thing. Like our loved ones are all with us. We just have to learn to trust what we feel and sense and see. So, for you, it might be there's something I don't know why I'm seeing washcloths with you, Tanya. So I don't know why I'm seeing crumpled up washcloths. Why am I seeing crumpled up washcloths? There's something about washcloths. I don't know if they're kitchen what are they kitchen washcloths or body washcloths? I'm seeing washcloths. I don't know if you just got rid I don't know if tennis if you just got rid of old washcloths and got new ones. Do you know why I'm seeing washcloths? You're asking me this question and suddenly I have washcloths in front of me. Um, Pay attention to the way that you feel, the music that comes on the radio, the turning around and seeing 111 on the clock. If you just sometimes we have to believe to then see. So instead of having I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it. If we let go of that and we go, okay, I believe they're there. Our love, our connection to each other was not just flesh and bone. We're spirit first. We're spirit to each other. So I believe that you can hear me. I believe oh, I don't know about washcloths, but I have trouble with trusting. I think you will come to know about the washcloths, Tanya. It's such a random, weird thing to see. Um, so I, I think that Tanya, the washcloth thing will be there. Either somebody knitted them or there's something about the washcloths. And I think it has to do with the kitchen, the kitchen washcloth and and the the mug, the coffee mug and the kitchen washcloth. And I think that there's writing on the mug, Tanya. Um, so Tanya, just being willing to trust and believe, and then you'll come to see. So a lot of times in sessions where loved ones are coming through for people, even myself, I'm going, did I really see that? Did I not see that? I have to toss that out and just go, just trust what you saw and felt and heard. So I have to randomly trust every day in my work. But when it comes to our own loved ones, sometimes randomly you get the thought of them. Often that's them attuning your mind to them. Often that's them saying hello to you in your mind. Why did you suddenly turn to click the clicker on the television right at the moment that 222 comes up on the clock, or the thing that comes up on the TV is connected somehow to the person that you loved and lost. So paying attention to the synchronicities and just trusting them. And ask your loved one for a sign. Say, I just feel like I'm not connecting to you at all, and that's really upsetting or frustrating for me. Could you show me something that I will understand or I will connect to? And then just trust yourself. Trust what you see and hear and feel, you know? But they are there, Tanya. They are there. Yeah. It is 9:22. Oh, weird. I said 22. Okay. So weird. I said 22, Tanya. So watch for, those kinds of things. I'm so grateful that all of you came tonight. I'm gonna leave you with a message. What do you want to give to everybody that's here? So I'm pulling from this like huge deck of cards, and this is the card that Spirit is leaving you all with tonight. Oh, hold on. Maggie said, I asked my mom for a clear sign, and my mom has clearly shown up as a hummingbird in clear ways, like when the hummingbird sat still, looked through my window for 5 days. Absolutely. That's just exactly the kind of thing, Maggie. So, so true. Look at this is the card that Spirit is giving us for the wrap up of the whole night. The word is awe. And this is so powerful because it's what I have to move into, and I do move into before I do my readings, is this awe of Spirit. Awe is deep respect and reverence for the source of life. It is humility and wonder before the power of God. Contemplating life's beauty and mystery leads us to communion, reflecting on our place in the universe. We seem small and insignificant, yet it is awe inspiring to realize that no one else on earth is just like us. Each of us has a unique potential for reflecting the divine in our souls. We awaken them by choosing to live them. When we practice awe, we are alert to the signs and wonders placed in our path. We open ourselves to grace. Do you hear that last line? When we practice awe, we are alert to the signs and wonders placed in our path. I mean, that's a pretty amazing response of Spirit to what was being talked about just before. Trusting, believing before seeing, right? Believing before seeing will bring you to it. We open ourselves to grace. So I wish you awe this week as you go forward and let yourself. Maggie, you did a beautiful thing. Maureen Ann said, I fell asleep and I just woke up to you saying hummingbird. That's so beautiful. Hey, Kevin. Hi, I see you there too. Yeah, I'm so glad all of you came tonight. Thank you so much. And so, okay, October 30th, that's it, a turn of attention. And then once you guys have had time to read it, we're going to have a big discussion at the Mary Winspear Center. Those of you that can be physical, we can all come together. And then I'll probably do a bigger Zoom type thing too, where we can all talk about the things in the book. Okay, I love you all. Thank you, Shania. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And for those of you that are missing loved ones, do something, activate something that recognizes them in this holiday. Create a new tradition for them. Include them because they'll be there at the table. They'll be there sniffing the food. They'll be there enjoying who you're with. And if you're alone, they'll be there with you too. So remember that you're being attended to and celebrated with them. So if you're feeling lonely in it, activate something where you're including them, right? Could be as simple as lighting a candle and making nice food for yourself that you know that they'll enjoy watching you eat. Or maybe you invite some friends over to share the kind of love that you had with them, with others. Make it meaningful. Make it meaningful for them too. It'll make them happy. Okay, lots of love, everyone. Have a good week ahead. I'll keep reminding you of the book, October 30th. Good night.